Um, Looking a little rough, I understand, but we're back. We're back in the swing of things. Had a very very rough week. So before we watch the post fight stuff, for Oscar Valdez versus Genesis, that's a cool ass name. Oh, my name is Genesis. Genesis Servania. We're going to talk about the division as a whole first. So, in fact, let's watch the post-fight stuff because, truth be told, I cut the TV off and I went to my DVR. So I'm actually about maybe 10 minutes or so behind. So I don't know who won yet. And yes, that's the new routine. But I've been doing this for years now. But now I'm really making an effort to do my videos as soon as the final bell rings if it goes to a decision. So let's watch this and listen to it and see who won. In my opinion, Valdez should have won. But when it comes to the meat of the 126-pound division, you have WBC champion Gary Russell Jr., you have WBA Super World Champion Leo Santa Cruz, WBA World Champion Abner Maris, IBF Champion Lee Selby, and WBO Oscar Valdez. I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Please subscribe. Now let's listen in.
Well, did Oscar Valdez box his way to retain a belt down the stretch here? Teddy Atlas says yes, absolutely enough. Giving him the last 5 rounds. I love those dueling 10-8s right in the middle of our action-packed main event here. 116-110, says Teddy. Let's find out what the official judges said. For that, we go up to the...
Ladies and gentlemen, after 12 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecard, and it reads as follows. Judge O'Connell scores it 116-110. Judge Martinez, 119-111. And Judge Taylor scores it 117-109. For the winner, by way of unanimous decision, and still WBO
117-109 was wide to me. Very wide. But it all depends. Let's see if he has anything to say if he does a post-fight interview.
Valdez does it here at home. He promised him he'd return.
Let's see if he does a post-fight interview, and then we're going to talk about where he goes from here, because now it's about time for him to have a big fight. We're going to look at the rankings, and we're going to look at the champions. Oh, wait, I think he's going to talk. Let's see if he calls anybody out.
Walk me through how difficult this fight was, because you were on the canvas for the first time as a pro in round number 4.
You know, I never thought I was going to be on the canvas like that. But this is boxing, that's what it is. To be completely honest, I wasn't really hurt. I was really surprised. Like, okay, I'm on the floor. All right, calmado, nothing happens. I'm going to get up and I'm going to do my work.
Now, round 5, you dropped him, and then you came back to dominate a very competitive fight. And there we see the sportsmanship between these two gentlemen. What were the key adjustments you were able to make?
Just outboxing our fighter. You know, I let the crowd sometimes get to me. I want to show my crowd a good fight. You guys are a little too careless, and I got hit. It's just boxing anymore. But, you know, I learned a lot from this fight, definitely.
At certain points, Manny Robles was telling you, you have to be intelligent. But then at the end, when you had that big lead, which you didn't know about, but you wanted to close the show, how important was it for you to close the show, especially there in round 12?
This is my people. I want to give them a good fight. And, you know, I wanted to close the fight the way I'm supposed to. You know? I want to prove that I'm the best, and I did my best to put up a good fight.
And still champion, Oscar Valdez in front of his hometown fans here in Tucson, Arizona. Carl Frampton may be up next.
Maybe. Why didn't you ask him? Why didn't he ask him that? Why did he just answer for him? What kind of post-fight interview was that? It was bizarre. Like, that's what I wanted to know. I wanted to know, you know, like, who would be next for him. You know, so let's go look at the 126-pound division. You know, let's see if we can get some highlights first. Here, I'll do it like this. We'll do that right there. Let me see. Let me see if I can do it like this. Can we do it like this? No. Well, let's look at the 126-pound division first. As you can see, he's the WBO champion, as we talked about. If you've noticed, now I'm still researching this, and I've been trying to get like an answer for this for a long time now. It's either Al Heyman fighters don't fight for the WBO, or Al Heyman fighters don't. Al Heyman doesn't register his fighters for WBO rankings, or the WBO just doesn't rank Al Heyman fighters. Now, of course, in this case, you may see Carl Frampton ranked, but that's a different, more complex situation. But the WBO has a reputation of being known as the HBO Bob Arum top-ranked Frank Warren belt. Now, when you look, there's not, if I'm correct, there's not any Al Heyman fighter WBO champions. And this all started around the time Peter Quillen dropped his WBO title. And the WBO president, Paco Valerial, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, basically tweeted Senator John McCain and somebody else to try to change the Muhammad Ali Act, or define what, as it said, define what the role of an advisor or manager was. Basically, they were throwing shade at Al Heyman. So the question I have is, Jojo Diaz, who fought on the undercard of Canelo versus Golovkin, is the number one contender, but it seems as though he's angling more towards Gary Russell. Now, Gary Russell, in my opinion, is the most talented of all the champions, in my opinion. As far as skills, Leo Santa Cruz is the best. Lee Selby is kind of the wild card because he's huge. Pause, and then it's like, where does Oscar Valdez go? Because if you look at these rankings, there's nothing really there, and it's about time for him to start, stepping up. So could it be called Frampton? Could we see Leo Santa Cruz versus Abner Maris next? Those guys are fighting both on October the 14th, not fighting each other. What about, where does Carl Frampton go? Does Carl Frampton fight any of these guys? And then how does Lee Selby, fit in Gary Russell? So it's an interesting situation, but I'm still not sold on Oscar Valdez as a fighter just yet. Now, if you look at his resume, right? And if you look at his resume, there is some credible names. Now, just credible names, there. For example, you got Miguel Mariaga. Vasil Lomachenko fought him. You got Gradiovic. Remember that he won that title. No, that's what he got. Number one contender for that title. Chris Avalos. Who's Chris Avalos fighting? Is he fighting Santa Cruz and Maris on the 14th? He's fighting Santa Cruz. So there's credible names there. Ruben Tamayo fought Gary Russell Jr., Jose Ramirez. So there's credible names there, but it's just time for him to take that next leap. And also, he was put down. Let's see if we can get you some highlights. I know they're going to give us some highlights. Here we go. These are highlights from the night. I wanted to see if they're going to give us some. Yeah, he went down earlier in the fight, as you can see. So he did, weather the storm. But, it's just like I said, I'm confused because, where does he go? It has to be towards another champion, right? How many more of these fights can he take? How old is Oscar Valdez? He's 26 years old. It's time to unify, bro. And maybe he can get Scott Quigg. Maybe they can ship him overseas, get him a big money fight. With a Scott Quigg or maybe a Kid Galahad, Maybe he can go overseas to get that big money. But outside of that, look, he's got to fight. He's got to start, positioning himself for, as, the ESPN spoke for him, I'm not even asking him, Carl Frampton, or the winner of Abner Maris, Leo Santa Cruz. But it seems as though Al Heyman has his own plan for Abner Maris, Leo Santa Cruz, and Carl Frampton. How does Gary Russell fit into that? We don't know, So, I'm TstreeT Controversy. This is TstreeT Controversy Live. I cover every single major fight live. Also, Gary Russell Jr.'s back is against the wall. He's got to start being active. Please subscribe.